What's going on, world? It's your boy Alex Miner, and welcome to 1000 Miles. This is the podcast where we talk about the entrepreneurial journey, the things that people have learned, the hardships they've gone through, those real world situations that other people might be able to benefit from and hopefully be inspired by, knowing that there's real people on the other end of the camera and that it's not just millionaires like Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and all them people that are out here working and making things happen. So today on the podcast, we've got Miss Ebony Cruz. I would say world famous, but I'm not sure about that. But I know you're at the very least, you're pretty well known in the Tampa, Florida region, Central Florida as a whole, I would say. And why don't you just introduce yourself real quick and, let people know who you are.
My name is Ebony Cruz. I am an entrepreneur coach, a former radio personality, which decided to go and learn about this marketing thing and teach other people how to do it. It's one thing I learned along the way is that there's so many businesses out here and we all have dreams and passions, but nobody takes the time to really learn how to make those dreams and passions come true. And so that's what I did, and that's what I do. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. And just to give a little background, a little context, me and Ebony connected through YouTube, or I might have found you on Facebook first. It's kind of it's hard to remember at this point, but either way, social media, that's how we first met and interacted. And just, I think before the first time I reached out, I watched a bunch of your videos, a lot of your Facebook stuff, and saw what you were doing on YouTube. And I just thought, this is a lady that I can get into. I dig her vibe. This is let me reach out, just see, whatever happens. I do a lot of reaching out to people on social media, and I'm glad that I reached out to you, because then you reached back and asked me to be in a video series you did on YouTube for entrepreneurs, pretty much just kind of doing what this podcast does, telling our stories, right?
Right. So that was something for me to force myself to do more videos on YouTube.
Okay.
As a YouTuber, sometimes that consistency thing can be tough. So that was something to force me to not only just shoot, but make time to shoot, make time to edit, and realize that it takes a lot of work to make those YouTube videos happen. I
totally agree with you. For Ebony's on YouTube, I'm on YouTube. Yeah, I seem to meet a lot of people through YouTube. And I want people to recognize that YouTube is social media. Some people don't think of it that way. They think it's just entertainment or another, video network, but it's really social media. You can meet people and form relationships, and all sorts of things can happen from YouTube. The first guest of the podcast, a lady named Diana Gladney out of St. Louis, connected with her through YouTube. So yeah, there's lots of potential there. So just talk a little bit about how you started with the YouTube and how that's connected to your business. And one of the reasons we're doing this podcast today, which is going to be a little bit before y'all see it, but it's January 25th. And we just finished doing a video workshop where one of the things we talked about was YouTube. And you're getting very well known for your YouTube content. You're growing your audience. Where are you right now on YouTube?
Almost 4,000.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah, I think the last time I looked in, you're like 2,500, 3K, something like that.
I think it's almost 3K. It may be closer to 3K than 4K. Yeah.
Okay, well, either way, the audience is growing. So that's a great thing. But with your coaching business, how did you come to be in that business? Because I know you've got a pretty diverse background, and the coaching, the marketing, and then connecting that to YouTube. How did you do that?
So YouTube originally started because I wanted to get leads. I started doing researching network marketing, and in that network marketing program that I was doing, or actually affiliate marketing, it was teaching classes. As an entrepreneur coach, some classes I did not have, and so I'm like, how can I teach a Facebook course when I don't have the course?
Okay.
So I bought into a company who had basically some of the trainings that I needed in case someone asked me for something, and it was like, well, okay, now I need leads on a Kool-Aid budget.
Right.
So I decided to go to YouTube, and one thing I started doing was pretty much just training what I learned. So if it was something on Facebook that I learned, I would just shoot a YouTube video about it. And that's how it started. And so one video after the next, I started getting questions about, hey, do you know this or do you know that? Then I started having people ask, hey, could you mentor me or could you coach? And that's kind of how it all just led together.
And I'm guessing that being on camera, which is something that we talked about today and that a lot of people have some trouble with. And if I sound weird on the mic, I was just talking for an hour. So which I was only supposed to talk for 20 minutes. So I guess it was good. People were paying attention, but that's why my voice might sound a little strained. But being on camera, that's one of the topics we tackled today, because that's a big thing. Did your history in radio and doing like promotions and those sorts of things, did that help you out?
No, not at all. I was terrified of the camera.
Really?
Yes.
You cannot see it at all. Though, like total, like if you were, like, cannot tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I was afraid of the camera, and I started doing motivational videos to make me do the training videos.
Okay.
So if you see some of my first videos, one, I'm not looking into the camera. I'm just all over the place. I may have went outside to a park where nobody would be at, so I could record and nobody could see me. But it was just me just pushing myself to do it. And me talking about inspiration was that comfort zone for me.
Okay.
So when I did that later on in the afternoon, I would counteract it with the training video. The motivational video was to force me to get in front of the camera, and then the training video was for me to actually put out reliable content.
Okay. So you kind of set up a system, a work process, a workflow. That's good. That's honestly something that I still struggle with, having a workflow, a reliable workflow where I know I'm going to do this type of video, then I'm going to do this next type of video, and I'm a little all over the place too. That's one reason I started the podcast, was to get me consistently doing something. And for anybody out there who's listening, that might be your key. That might be the unlock for you. That might be what gets you to finally jump on board this content train, is just making a plan to be consistent about something.
Right.
And with your coaching students, how much, just what goes into that? Like you mentioned people were asking you to mentor you about the Facebook stuff. Are you mentoring people on the YouTube too? What's going into your programs? So
YouTube is a new portion of the coaching. That's something that I'm still developing. I haven't yet launched anything, kind of still testing. But majority of my coaching originally started online. So I created a group, and I would go inside my group twice a week live. They would ask questions. I would go in and make sure I answer questions. And the videos that I was using on YouTube, my training videos, would be their training videos for that program. So it kind of all works together, right? It just kind of make me do stuff. So once I started doing that, people would get to a certain level where they were comfortable using social media, and so they didn't really need me anymore. So they can go off on their own, or they could purchase into that affiliate marketing program that I was doing. So see how they kind of all tie together? Yeah. And so as I started growing more, I'll get more questions now. Hey, what about branding? What about logos? Now, what about YouTube? So the program is growing more in itself, just based on the feedback that I'm getting. Right. And for anybody out there who's at the beginning of their content journey, I just want to let you know that once you get to a certain point, especially if you're starting from the point of trying to provide an informational type service where you're educating folks, that rely on the audience. But yet as your audience grows, your programs can build themselves. Your offers can build themselves. If you pay attention to what people are asking for, if you really just serving the needs that people are telling you they have, these things will kind of take care of themselves. Like, feed the beast, give them what they want. If they want YouTube coaching and you know something about YouTube, give them YouTube coaching. If they want Facebook coaching and you know something about Facebook, you know how to work the algorithm, how to build a group and do all that stuff, give it to them. Because like why wouldn't you give them what they want, what they're already telling you they're willing to pay for? Serve their needs. So just to step backwards in time a little bit and let me get down off my soapbox. Tell me a little bit more about your history as an entrepreneur. Like, I know it's never easy, right? Unless somebody just set it up for you and you just walked into a position, it's never easy. And that really only happens if you come from money or some type of favored position, which very few of us do. How did you get started? What was the inspiration to start? Because entrepreneurship's not for everybody, and that's okay. Right. If you want to work a job, that's okay. I know this show is all about entrepreneurship and going off on your own or building that side hustle. But if that's not you, that's cool. And I don't want anybody to think that the message I'm trying to send is that you have to do these things. No. If you're happy where you're at, that's fine. But if somebody else needs that inspiration, needs that lift, that's what we're here for. So what was it that pushed you to do this, to pursue this path? And what would you say was
one of your biggest hurdles that you had to get over?
I originally started the entrepreneurship journey when I went through a separation. And so when I went through that separation with my son's father, as a matter of fact, I actually had to file bankruptcy just to like get myself back. Like it wasn't a bad like relationship type of thing. It's just when two parties realize, hey, we are not meant for, and so the financial portion, it was what came up. But when I was in court, it was a lot of women in court, and they were just boohoo crying like life was over. And I'm like, girl, bye. Like, life is not over. It's just beginning. And so I started wanting to help women really focus on building life after a separation.
Okay.
And so it started with me volunteering at the Domestic Violence Center and like saying, hey, you are worth more. You can do this. You can have whatever. And then next thing you know, I was helping kids, which is how I started. My original first business was a nonprofit.
Okay.
And so I'm not doing this nonprofit. I'm getting clothes for kids, donating stuff, a lot of kids in foster care, just focusing on, how to make sure that we prevent the cycle of them going into the same route as their parents. And,
okay.
And that went from radio to radio. Ironically, I guess I was loud enough in the community where somebody was like, hey, we need to put this girl on some radio.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So started doing community radio, again, focusing on just helping people in the community. And every time I would try something, it was just kind of like an opening door of what I could feel that I liked more, that this was better for me, or, I could do this. And it just made me not want to always just have to depend on the 9 to 5. It made me not want to say, this is it for me. I can really create a future for myself if I, focus and grind it out. Now, mind you, there are some months that it's like, it is slow, okay?
I totally, trust me, I've been freelance and building my own businesses for 8 years. Like, I know what those months are like.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I don't knock anybody for getting a part-time job to make sure you don't lose anything. Entrepreneurship is a journey. It's not something that once you make that first hit is good. If you don't balance that money right, then you're back at square one,
Exactly.
So for me, I think when I started, it was just to help women. And now, although my business is focused on helping women in business, it's really just built on giving back to people. I didn't really start being successful until I just started giving so much of my services, of me, of my time, of what I learned to people, and then opportunities just started flooding in.
I think that's because energy creates energy or attracts energy.
Right.
And so when you put out that positive energy, when you're creating this positive sphere of influence, I just think naturally that's going to bring those people your way. I've seen it over and over in not just my life, but other people's lives. When you're truly coming from a place of service, from a place of giving, of wanting to help, I think I don't want to say it makes people help you, but I think it just attracts like-minded people. Right. And then you click up and you start doing bigger things to help more people.
Right. I agree. Totally agree.
So what would you say in those first, like how many years have you been pursuing this path now?
Oh, I think it was 2010 or 9.
Okay.
I think when I first started, yeah.
Okay, you're still in business. See,
Right.
it's possible. It's possible. Some people think that you can't grind it out, and that's the other thing. Like she was saying, it's a long road. It's not a sprint, and you have to have patience. And patience is so overrated in today's culture, especially the younger generation. I think older folks always say that the younger generation has no patience. Right. So maybe that's just me starting to get into my old man phase. I'm only 37, but some days it feels like I'm older.
But ironically, there's something to that, is that me being an entrepreneur is how I landed in the opportunity that I'm in now. I had the opportunity to say, should I do a 9 to 5? This particular 9 to 5 was definitely like, you know what? I think this is a great networking thing. Now, did it allow me, or did I have to change my schedule completely? Absolutely, because I was used to having my time all day. And so now to go and work for someone else and I have to try to still do my business, it allowed me now to speak to my audience on a different level, because I couldn't understand getting off at 5 o'clock, cooking dinner, getting kids and getting into your business. Me, I'm telling people, just do this business. Mind you, I got all day.
Right.
But when I went back to work and I get to see the actual struggle of traffic, that's in the morning time, dropping kids off, picking kids up, I was able to see and talk on a different level to my audience than I was before.
And what is it that you're doing now as a 9 to 5?
So now I work for the city of Tampa.
Okay.
And just a great position.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like secret,
Yeah.
like can't tell everything. Okay, so how long have you been in that government position?
It'll be a year coming up in June. And so before it all started with campaigns. Again, marketing was the way I got there, outreach. And so I started with one campaign, led me to another campaign, and then then I finally got to join the administration,
okay.
Which made me say, hey, when the opportunity was presented, it wasn't like an immediate yes. It was, let me think of, can I do this and not get burned out on either side, on going to the 9 to 5 or get burnt out, with my business, let my business go. And I can say within the first, 6 or 7 months, my business did probably take a little.
Okay.
I pushed it back a little bit to learn what I was really doing at this 9 to 5. Then once I kind of got an idea of what that was, what that schedule was, then I was able to break it all down again. Okay, I have time for this here. I could do this over here. This is how my week should look. These are my weekly goals. But it's a struggle, and it's something that you hear people say your why has to be big. Your why has to really means so much to you that you're willing to sacrifice a lot in order to make that thing happen. And that's why I continue to go how I do, because my why, it supersedes, my life, my kids' life. My why it's a legacy for my entire family. And that's something that I want to be ongoing.
Okay. And in learning to balance this new career with your business, what would you say is like the biggest thing that you've had to learn? Like what's the biggest aha moment, lesson that you learned, takeaway from, you've been doing this for a year now, and you're still, obviously we just finished this workshop, so business is going strong, and I know you're still doing your YouTubes and your Facebook trainings and all that stuff. Like you're active, you're out here. Like honestly, I don't know how you have all like really, if you could lend me your time management superpowers, I would probably be very grateful, because I kind of suck in that area. So like, what's the biggest light bulb that went off in learning to balance all that?
It's definitely understanding my priorities. And when I say priorities, people, if this friendship or this relationship is not benefiting where I'm going, then you're probably not going to get 2 hours of my time. You might get 5 minutes, but you're not going to get a lot of my time where I know I should be spending my time. So I'm very selective, and I value my time with everyone. And so the relationships that I do have, they're valued relationships. They're people that we're working towards something, the same goal in some type of way. And so it's not a waste of time. Us being here this Saturday, it was not a waste of time by anybody.
It was super valuable to me. I kind of have and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Fine. I sometimes I talk too much, which is funny that I'm doing a podcast now. But there are moments leading up to today where I'm like, am I just giving myself too much to do? Like, I'm driving all the way to Tampa. I'm trying to make her do a podcast, and I'm trying to come back. I know I'm gonna have to hop right in and start, being daddy. And it's like, did I just do too much? And I got another talk that I'm doing tomorrow afternoon, although I think that's in downtown Orlando, so that might be shorter.
And really, it's not. You have to think about those events that you're spending your time on. How is that going to benefit you in the long run? Because you could just be sitting on the couch watching TV.
True.
Or you could have just been at the park, which, not saying that the park for your kids isn't a good thing, but you could have used this same time here and you would have wasted 3 or 4 hours, right? On the way here, I heard you say you were listening to YouTube. You were educating yourself on your way here. So it's a matter of how you allocate that time to make sure that it is working for you. We only get 24 hours. We all get the same 24 hours. Although today I brought my girls and my kids and they're working and I'm here, but when we leave, then we have some time. But then I got another event that I got to get to. So for me, I break my day up and based on, what is going to get me closer to my goal. And if that means I can't go out to lunch with y'all today, girls, sorry, I can't go. One of the girls that attended the workshop wanted to do happy hour last night. And I told her, I got a rain check. Those 2 hours there are not benefiting me for where I want to go. And I'm really serious about where I want to take my life. And I want to be an example for my kids as well, so that they can't make excuses that, oh, this happened, so I wasn't able to do it. Oh, well, this came up, or I didn't be. You take responsibility for your time. And
right.
You decide who gets it and who doesn't. And it's pretty much up to you.
Yeah, because I was talking with a business coach yesterday, not one that I'm a client of, but we were just having a conversation, and we were talking about putting content on social media, and I was like, yeah, I was supposed to get this clip up today, and like I hadn't done it because this and that, and she just started looking at me, and she's like, excuses, and I'm like, yeah, but excuses. Yep. So. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. But just speaking to that and prioritizing and time management and all that, how do you decide where to spend your time? Because I know time is, you don't have a lot, or we have the same time, but the perspective on it might be different because you have a full-time job, you have this business, you have a family, and single mom and all that, which adds another layer of difficulty to things, because thank God I have a wife, because I don't know how, I only got 2 kids. I don't know how I would manage without my wife. Like, real talk. Kids would be in trouble. So like, how do you decide where to put your energy?
So I typically break down my year based on quarters, and I know everyone should and businesses do, but I break down my personal goals per quarter. What do I want to accomplish this quarter? And so that's how I'm able to break down my months, my weeks, and my days based on what I want to do this quarter. And it could be even with my kids. What is something I want to accomplish with my kids this quarter? And I break it all down like that. And so that's basically how I allocate my time. If it's something that isn't aligned with that, then it's just not going to happen.
Okay. And just overall in your journey, the transformations that you've gone through, what would you say has been the biggest piece of advice that was valuable to you, or changed your perspective, or sent you down a different, branch path? Like, what was that one thing that even today, 10 years later, because I think you said it was like 2010, so like 10 years later of being an entrepreneur, doing all the things you've done, what's that one thing, that lesson, that, recommendation that still stands out?
I would definitely have to say, it's never dream too small. When I met and I accomplished goals that weren't outrageous, I felt like I was completing something, but I lowered my standards. And so when I raise my standards, I'm always competing against myself yesterday to be even better. And so no matter how out of price this vision may seem, or this dream may seem, how big or out of reach it may seem, it is possible as long as you tear that sucker down and break it up by year, by month, by day, by hour, by second. It is definitely possible. And so for me, when I used to dream small, I would accomplish stuff, but it wasn't amazing. But when I started really dreaming big, that's when I knew the sky is no limit.
All right. Well, I think that is a great place to end it. I would like to thank Ebony Cruz for inviting me to be part of her amazing event. I had an amazing time. And also I'd like to thank the studio at Livy O's for allowing us to take up more of their time after we're supposed to be gone to do this podcast. I see you, and I know I'm an inconvenience, which is why we're wrapping it up right now. But to everybody out there, everybody who's listened to the podcast so far, I thank you for your support. It's been amazing. The folks who've watched on YouTube, the folks who've been listening on Spotify and iTunes and everything else, everybody on Facebook who's liked one of the clips we've dropped or anything like that, I thank you all. This is something brand new for me, and I'm hoping to grow with you, and that something that we're doing is helping at least one of you out there. And so one more time, Ebony, is there anything that you want to say in closing?
In closing, listen, there's no dream too big. There's no amount of money that you can't have. You can do it. Just make sure you get up every day. You are blessed to get up every day and work towards it. You got it. Keep on going. I'm guiding that cruise to success.
All right. And that is 1,000 Miles, episode 3. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. When are you going to take yours?